She's smiling more, dressing better, and her phone never leaves her hand. You tell yourself it's nothing, but deep down, something feels off. In today's episode of Stoic in 10 Minutes, we're not chasing drama, we're uncovering truth. Calmly, clearly, through 5 signs that reveal when affection starts to fade and distance begins to speak louder than words. Imagine this. Your partner suddenly starts taking extra care of her appearance. She dresses better, smells better, even walks with a renewed confidence. She's warmer, more charming than before, but somehow also more distant. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel shorter. Her phone lights up more often, and when it does, she quietly turns the screen away. Coincidence, or a quiet warning? It might seem unfair to jump to conclusions, but in psychology, the smallest changes often whisper truths that people aren't ready to speak aloud. And the human mind, even when it tries to hide something, always leaves traces, in habits, in tone, in silence. So today, on Stoic in 10 Minutes, we'll look at the 5 behavioral changes that often reveal when a woman is emotionally or romantically hiding something. We won't judge, we won't accuse, we'll simply observe, with reason, not emotion. Because when you learn to observe without attachment, you stop being controlled by confusion. You stop guessing and start seeing. 1. The phone barrier. Let's start with one of the most obvious yet most revealing changes, how she handles her phone. If she once left it on the table, face up, unlocked, and now suddenly takes it everywhere, to the kitchen, to the bathroom, even to bed. That shift means something. It's not about privacy, it's about secrecy. In behavioral psychology, abrupt changes in phone habits often mirror inattention. The phone becomes both a shield and a secret. You'll notice small, unconscious gestures. She places its screen down, turns it away when a message comes, or gets defensive when you casually ask, "Who was that?" The key here is not to invade her space or demand explanations. It's to observe patterns. Did this start suddenly? Was there a clear reason? Stress? Work? A family issue? Or did it appear without context? When someone begins to protect their phone like a secret diary, it usually means there's a part of their life they no longer want to share. And sometimes, that part includes someone new. 2. The social shift. The second sign is subtle but powerful, the reorganization of her social world. New names begin to appear in her conversations, but you don't know who they are. Friends you've never met suddenly become central to her plans. The girls' night out happens more often, and somehow you're never invited anymore. This isn't about control or limiting her freedom. Every person deserves space. But when your presence is gradually erased from her world, when you're no longer mentioned, included, or even updated, that's a quiet act of separation. From a social psychology lens, people naturally include the ones they value most in their social narrative. When that inclusion stops, it's because emotional priorities are shifting. It's rarely loud, it's rarely cruel, but it's deliberate. Pay attention to vague phrases. "It's just someone from work." "You wouldn't know him." "It was nothing, just a quick plan." Ambiguity is the fog that hides emotional distance. When her life starts sounding like a story you're no longer part of, she's not just changing her schedule, she's redrawing her world. 3. The body disconnect. Now let's talk about the language of the body, the one that never lies. If she used to hug you naturally, hold your hand without thinking, or sit close during a movie, and now those gestures feel mechanical, distant, or absent, that's not random. Touch is one of the clearest indicators of emotional health. When the body pulls away, it's often because the heart already has. This isn't about demanding affection or forcing closeness. It's about noticing the difference. A person hiding emotional conflict often feels physical discomfort, not because they dislike you, but because the body rejects living in contradiction. When there's someone else involved emotionally or physically, the body often reveals it before the words do. She may not even be aware of it, the hesitation, the tension, the subtle avoidance of eye contact. But it's there. And if it stays for weeks without explanation, it's not coincidence, it's disconnection. 4. The comparative shift. One of the most telling changes is in the way she talks about other men. It starts innocently. a coworker who's so thoughtful, a friend who really listens, a casual mention of someone who treats his partner so well. At first, it sounds harmless, but repetition is the giveaway. Comparisons are rarely random. They usually reflect a new emotional reference. When someone starts using others as silent benchmarks, it's often because those figures are already occupying mental space and emotional energy. The question isn't, who is he? It's, why is he in her thoughts so often? You'll notice these comments aren't confrontational. They're subtle. They sound like admiration, not confession. But when they become frequent, when the tone softens as she speaks of someone else, you're witnessing a narrative shift. That's the mind rehearsing attachment in small, socially acceptable doses. 5. The emotional roller coaster. Finally, one of the hardest signs to process: emotional inconsistency. One day, she's warm and loving, the next, cold and irritable. You feel like you're walking on eggshells, trying to guess which version of her will show up. From the outside, it feels confusing. From the inside, it's a symptom of tension. Living two emotional realities, one with you, another somewhere else, drains the mind. The guilt, the anxiety, the need to keep stories straight, all of it creates volatility. A simple question like, "What time will you be home?" triggers irritation. Not because of the question, but because of what it represents, a potential crack in the facade. To cope, some overcompensate, being overly kind one moment, then distant the next. It's the nervous system swinging between guilt and justification. When love turns unpredictable without any clear reason, it's often not confusion. It's conflict. Not yours, theirs. The Stoic perspective. Now here's where Stoicism comes in. The goal is not to accuse, it's to see clearly. A Stoic mind doesn't rush to conclusions, nor does it drown in denial. It simply watches, without attachment, without panic. You don't need to chase evidence or spy on messages. Reality always reveals itself through consistency, or the lack of it. Ask yourself, has her energy changed? Do her actions still align with her words? And most importantly, are you at peace in this connection, or are you constantly guessing? When several of these signs appear together, secrecy, social shifts, emotional distance, comparisons, inconsistency, don't ignore them. You're not paranoid, you're perceptive. The Stoic approach isn't to demand truth, it's to stop lying to yourself, because clarity doesn't always arrive from someone else's confession. Sometimes it starts with your own acceptance. If what you heard today helped you see your situation with more calm and understanding, write in the comments, "Stoic in 10 minutes." That's how I'll know you're part of those who prefer awareness over illusion, truth over comfort. Until next time, stay calm, stay observant. And remember, what's hidden always reveals itself, not through words, but through patterns.